Imhotep, African family, and welcome to Building the Lighted Temple Wisdom Service. I am Dr. Nteri Nelson, a KeMetaphysicist, a licensed clinician and educator, and co-founder of the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness. Once again, during these troubled times, I welcome you as we come together in this virtual space, this etherealized space, this vibrational field where we may find resonance and do the work of cultivating so that we may amplify our vibration and distribute the light. So once again, welcome each and every one of you. As I have already said in the comments, beloveds, fasten your seatbelts. The title of today's presentation is Planetary Consciousness and Quantum Supremacy Computer, AI. A KeMetaphysicist to a physicist asks, can we talk? Can we talk first eye? Today, beloveds, as a KeMetaphysicist, I will give detailed examination of quantum computing, planetary consciousness, and the first eye, while drawing critical intersection points between metaphysics and physics. As a KeMetaphysicist, I will ask physicists, can we talk? And we will together examine the research of physicists and systematically compare and contrast these with the African origins of ancient Kemetic Egyptian research contributions. Beloveds, how do we approach the subject today of planetary consciousness and quantum supremacy, computer, artificial intelligence? As a KeMetaphysicist asks a physicist, can we talk? We begin with a short video clip by Dr. Michio Kaku, who is author of the book, Quantum Supremacy.
Quantum computers will change everything. The economy, how we solve problems, the way we interact with the universe, you name it, quantum computers will be there. I'm Dr. Michio Kaku, professor of theoretical physics at the City University of New York and author of Quantum Supremacy, about the rise of quantum computers.
Beloveds. And so where are we going today? And to snapshot where we are going will occur in these next two video clips. And then we will go deeper in this subject matter. So the first video clip will be again by Dr. Michio Kaku, and the second video clip will be by myself, Dr. Nteri Nelson.
Except now quantum computers talk not just about spin up or spin down, but everything in between. That's called a qubit. One qubit represents all the possibilities of an object spinning between up and down.
All right, and the second video, beloveds, just connecting our subject.
We are able to see and know one at a timeness, the part. We are able to see and know the relationship in between, and we are able to see and know all at onceness. So we are in this one at a timeness and simultaneous all at onceness.
All right, beloveds. So I have been talking about the first eye in the Kemetic wisdom for almost close to 3 decades now. And I have video after video on this subject. And the time is right to have this conversation and talking with metaphysicists to physicists. And in this next video clip, you'll see the urgency of why we are way past time in asking, can we talk?
By the year 2100, we will have the power of the gods. To paraphrase Arthur C. Clarke, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from divinity.
All right, you heard it for yourself, beloveds. The power of the gods through a technology tantamount or paramount with divinity. It's time for KeMetaphysicists to talk to metaphysicists, to talk to physicists. A metaphysicist or a KeMetaphysicist, because my research, my studies are based in Kemet, which would later be called Egypt by the Greeks, encompasses the work and realm of a physicist. And what is a physicist? Just a brief definition. A physicist is a scientist who specializes in the field of physics, which encompasses the interactions of matter and energy at all length and time scales in the physical universe. As a KeMetaphysicist, we talk about spirit and matter. What physics calls energy, we call spirit. Physicists generally are interested in the root or ultimate cause of phenomena and usually frame their understanding in mathematical terms. I, as a metaphysicist, will be framing and understanding in terms scientific, the science of being and becoming, terms spiritual, existential, psychological, esoteric, and deep thought of our Kemetic philosophy that our African ancestors of the Nile Valley have given us. This too will at times encompass the mathematical. Continuing the definition of a physicist works across a wide range of research fields spanning all length scales from subatomic and particle physics through biological physics to cosmological length scales encompassing the universe as a whole. And certainly our cosmogenesis, cosmology encompasses these realms. So as a metaphysicist, I, over time in this series, will do the same. Now, how is our subject approach today? This planetary consciousness and quantum supremacy computer and artificial intelligence, as a KeMetaphysicist asks a physicist, can we talk? Let's begin by talking about the internet, the world, which is also called the World Wide Web. Now, I have given definition previously, and over time will give varying definitions, but for today, I give the definition as follows, that the internet is the repository of human knowledge, beloveds. Definition of the internet. The internet is the repository of human knowledge, human thinking, human ideas, ideation, sensory experience, observation, measurement, and recorded activities in every human endeavor. This is one definition of the internet. There will be more. Now, prior to the information age, as I have said previously, if you wanted to be familiar with what was happening in a particular subject, let's say that subject was psychology, or it was medicine, or it was engineering, you would go to the journals of psychology or medicine or biology or music, whatever that, and you would painstakingly read those journals to get a glimpse of what was happening in those fields. So this brings us to the second definition of the internet, and that is the internet, this World Wide Web is now, beloveds, the internet, the World Wide Web is now a glimpse within planetary mind. Yes, beloveds, a glimpse within planetary mind of collective human consciousness. It is the repository of intellectual property of all kinds of world universities, of libraries, of museums, of industries, so on and so on. So, beloveds, today as we rummage around within this evolving planetary mind, with all its contributions from humanity, become aware now of the upgrades in the mechanism. Yes, beloveds, the mechanism, the apparatus, in this specific case, the generation of computers and computing that gives us access to the internet and the World Wide Web. I'm going to repeat that. Our focus today is to become aware of the upgrades in the very mechanism, the apparatus. In this specific case, the next generation of computers that also compute and that give us access to the internet and World Wide Web. It is these mechanisms that is our focus, and to touch this mental substance, this collection of mental substance that is the repository of the internet and the repository of human collective consciousness, to touch this mental substance, this subtle substance of ideas, of image, of ideation, of sensory data. We need an apparatus, and an apparatus of containment, a machine that can process this subtle substance, this accumulated information. Moreover, we need a machine performing computations on and within this mental substance, this data, this accumulated information. This apparatus of containment and computation, beloveds, serves as an eye, beloveds. And we'll go into greater detail. This is the computer today, the quantum computer, the direction of the future computer that is already existing in its early stages now. Michio Kaku, in his book, beloveds, I have this book, he says the following, quote, past wealth, beloveds, and we that striving for wealth. In the past, wealth might be measured in terms of oil or gold. How much of the human family has sought gold and oil, right? Now, increasingly, it is measured in data. Companies used to throw their own financial data away, but now this information is being recognized as more valuable than precious metals. Michio Kaku. I'm going to repeat this because this is vital. Wealth might be measured in terms of oil or gold. Now, increasingly, it is measured in data. Companies used to throw their own financial data away, but now this information is being recognized as more valuable than precious metals. Quote by Dr. Michio Kaku. So, when we look at the point we're at in our journey of unfolding consciousness, which is what I have been teaching about in my books, one of which is here, Ka'aba, Building the Lighted Temple, with the metaphysical keys to the light, to the tree of light. And another work, among other works that I have, the Merkaba, the Great Pyramid is the tree of life, remaking ourselves as beings of light. We now have this capacity, this technical capacity that is a mechanism of storehouse, of repository, and processing, performing computations on the collective human intellectual property that resides within it. Just consider. And if you wanted to know or get a glimpse, if there was life coming from another planet, another part of cosmos, and it wanted to get a glimpse within the collective human consciousness on our planet, it would take a glimpse, just like reading that journal to get a glimpse of what's happening in the field of psychology or the field of medicine. That intelligence would take a look at that collective planetary consciousness and glimpse within it. We are at the point where we need to talk. In this next video clip, is from Dr. Michio Kaku, and looking at what are quantum computers, an explanation. And I'll play this clip, and it'll be followed by a clip that is the KeMetaphysicist response. Hotep, everyone. Great to see everyone here. Glad everyone is here.
Change virtually every aspect of our life. Well, the arrival of quantum computers could be even more historic than that. We're now in the initial stages of the next revolution. We're talking about a new generation of computers, the ultimate computer, a computer that computes on atoms, the ultimate constituents of matter itself. The question is, who's involved in this race to perfect quantum computers? And the answer is everyone. All the big players are part of this race, because if they're not, Silicon Valley could become the next Rust Belt. Also, anyone who's interested in security is interested in quantum computers. They can crack almost any code that is based on digital technology. That's why the FBI, the CIA, and all national governments are following this very closely. Quantum computers will change everything. The economy, how we solve problems, the way we interact with the universe, you name it, quantum computers will be there. I'm Dr. Michio Kaku, professor of theoretical physics at the City University of New York, and author of Quantum Supremacy, about the rise of quantum computers. The next step beyond digital computers is the quantum era. Richard Feynman was one of the founders of quantum electrodynamics, but also a visionary. And he asked himself a simple question: how small can you make a transistor? And he realized that the ultimate transistor is an atom, one atom that could control the flow of electricity, not just on or off, but everything in between. We have to go to quantum computers, computers that compute on atoms rather than on transistors. Transistors are based on zeros and one. Reality is not. Reality is based on electrons and particles, and these particles in turn act like waves. So you have to have a new set of mathematics to discuss the waves that make up a molecule. And that's where quantum computers come in. They're based on electrons. And these electrons, how come they have so much computational power? Because they could be in two places at the same time. That's what gives quantum computers their power. They compute on not just one universe, but an infinite number of parallel universes. Quantum computers compute on parallel universes. That's why they are so powerful. So how much faster is a quantum computer over a digital computer? In principle, infinitely faster. When we talk about digital computers, we can measure their power in terms of bits. For example, spin up, spin down, zeros and one, would constitute 1 bit. For a large digital computer, we're now talking about billions of bits that are modeled by transistors. Except now quantum computers talk not just about spin up or spin down, but everything in between. That's called a qubit. 1 qubit represents all the possibilities of an object spinning between up and down. Thousands of qubits can now be modeled with the latest generation of quantum computers. Eventually, we hope to hit 1 million. And so we're talking about exceeding the power of ordinary digital computers. That's called quantum supremacy. It is the point at which a quantum computer can outrace and outperform a digital computer on a certain task. We passed that several years ago, but we want a machine that could exceed the power of any digital computer. We're not there yet, but we're very close to it.
All right, beloveds. So absorb, just absorb, because for 2.5 decades in the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness, in our studies, I've been teaching about how we need to move from this linear consciousness to spherical consciousness, to move within that inner eye, that first eye, as we'll talk about in a moment in this next video, to move beyond these two physical eyes that see exteriorly and to move within that inner eye, that first eye that sees and knows interiorly. And now we have science, physics at the precipice of this development. When you see and know as a metaphysicist, a KeMetaphysicist, you can, which precedes, succeeds, things that are the realm of physics, you see where this is going. And when you see, you must say. And so, beloveds, in this next video, you'll see this whole concept that I've been teaching about, that now the field of physics in this quantum supremacy, and beloveds, we when we hear the word supremacy, we need to take note and notice, because in our Kemetic studies, we learn that energy that maybe, or that whole spirit in matter, and how energy may be used at its higher turn of the spiral in terms of its optimal and divine expression, or it may be used spiral down in terms of its base and coarse negative expression. So we always need to see where things are going in that spirit matter continuum, which physics calls energy and matter. So I share this next clip with you.
Egoic consciousness. And this egoic, don't the first eye in this egoic. So here we are now looking at this development of the first eye in this egoic spherical consciousness. And this egoic, don't get confused with Freudian terms. This is about Kemet and Kemetic science. We are becoming that egg in that egoic spherical consciousness. So I use this symbol. I'm very fond of using this symbol. One might say, well, why does Dr. Nteri have a disco ball? But this is a wonderful symbol of the first eye, because in this first eye, which we will locate here between our eyebrows, and we have that inner sightedness, that inner ability to see and know. However, it is not just this inner eye, but as we move into our body of light to indwell the Merkaba light body, we actually become as this sphere, this spherical consciousness, where every aspect of our being is alive and sensing and knowing. So let's go into this. What is this ability to see the part and the whole and the relationship in between? Well, in this first eye consciousness, as we move from this linear sightedness into this spherical consciousness, we come to see within this individuated mirrored frame. Maybe you can see this individuated mirrored frame right here. This is the ability to stand within this light, this eye, and see through that individuated mirrored frame.
And beloveds, awareness of what's happening in the computing world in terms of chips, transformers, in regard to these individuated mirrored frames that are being described here as I described the first eye.
And then we have the capacity to see through this individuated mirrored frame. And we have the capacity to see the perspective and hold the perspective between in this individuated frame and in this individuated frame. So as we step within this first eye, we are able to see this mirrored frame in relationship to this individuated mirrored frame, into relationship with this, and in relationship with this. We are able to see and know one at a timeness, the part. We are able to see and know the relationship in between, and we are able to see and know all at onceness. So we are in this one at a timeness and simultaneous all at onceness. Different from the consciousness you see, let's say at the nightly news, where you have two people who come on and one is sharing a perspective here and the other is sharing a perspective there, and they do this back and forth and they try to wear each other down in this very linear way. What we are working for in this spherical sightedness is to have this part relationship and simultaneous all at onceness.
So, beloveds, again, back to that chip, that individuated mirrored frame, that transistor that is now is a data set, is an electron, that an atom that is now registering a data set or data sets, and now having the capacity to look at that in relationship to this individuated mirrored frame, in relationship to this individuated mirrored frame, in relationship to this individuated mirrored frame, and to hold all of that simultaneously and all at once. That all at onceness and simultaneousness in that process. And to do this, beloveds, at the speed of light. You know, processing now that repository that's worth more than oil and gold that has been put into the internet. When you and I are out there making deposits in this repository, just consider this web now, this wider sphere that has the capacity to hold all of that, such that it may be glimpsed, and this apparatus, this mechanism now is enabled to perform computations on the data that is the data of the human mind, of the human, and this term artificial intelligence needs to be further examined in another service. Let's continue.
in consciousness. So let's look at this more carefully. In this slide, we see the great egg of consciousness and these three primary states of consciousness, Kaaba. In other words, we understand, as our African ancestors have taught us, that the Ba comes forth upon earth to do the will of its Ka. Ka is spirit, taking of the substance of itself to have consciousness in form. And so when we look at this first, this Ba consciousness, we see that Ba consciousness is unitive. It's about synthesis, wholeness, interconnection. It affirms this is that. It affirms I know. It is spiritualizing. It is all at onceness. As we move into the Ab consciousness, we hold the ability to be dualative. And anytime we look at consciousness or energy, we can look at it at its higher turn of the spiral in terms of its primal and optimal use, or at a lower turn of the spiral in terms of its more negative or weakness or debased condition. So when we look at Ab consciousness on a higher turn of the spiral, Ab consciousness is dualative, it's harmonizing, it's able to balance, it's able to relate and look at harmonizing these what can be discordant energies and bringing them into harmony. It can be reconciliative, or on a lower spiral, it can be combative. It is about reconciling opposites. It's a consciousness that affirms this and or that. And the Ab consciousness affirms, I know that I know. The key words are solarizing and in-betweenness. When we look at Ka consciousness at a higher turn of the spiral is about the particulate, about the part, each individuated mirrored frame. But on a lower turn of the spiral, Ka consciousness can become separative. Now, when we are within particulate consciousness on a higher turn of the spiral, this is the ability to see the part, to understand multiplicity, individualizing, analysis, division, diversity, discernment, discrimination of a higher turn of the spiral. There is nothing wrong with being able to see the pot in all its beauty, like looking at a flower and beholding all its beauty, and then moving to look at all the beauty of another flower within the greater family of flowers. When Ka becomes, or this particular consciousness becomes separative, that is when we witness the part without the underlying unity, when we've lost the ability to hold the underlying unity. And so we then become immersed in this separative consciousness, this versus that. Ka is this materializing aspect. It's the ability to see this one at a timeness, and the ability also to see the all at onceness. Now, when we put this together, we have Ka-Aba, which is infused, blended consciousness, a consciousness that affirms, I know the one in the many, I know the one in the same self and all the seeming self-appearances. And its key words are simultaneous, one at a timeness, in-betweenness, all at onceness.
Right, beloveds. So pondering, examining, reflecting on what you have heard, on what has been said so far. So consider, beloveds, technology and the advances where electrons, the atoms, the computations, having the smallest of particle and the fastest of particle. And because we've learned that electrons have so much computational power because they can be at the same place at the same time. They can be in many places at the same time. And this is what I describe it as our human capacity in the first eye, that we have that capacity to be in this, as we step into this first eye, we have that capacity to see this one at a timeness, all of the relationship and simultaneous all at onceness. Consider what has been happening in the unfoldment of, in the journey of human consciousness, that I will talk more about as we continue this series, that as humanity has unfolded, we see the unfoldment of these seeming racial types, and we see the unfoldment of a predominance of in consciousness that is more particulate, more just seeing the part. We see consciousness that is more relational. It can see this side and that side, and that perspective and this perspective, and holds all of that. And then we have the example of a more unitive consciousness. We've seen that in this planetary journey, where everything in nature, there was at oneness with nature, and you recognized that early human family recognized that to just take out of nature without a recognition of the coherence within nature created a disturbance. So there's much to see and learn and gain as we examine the research of Kemet, our Kemetic ancestors, that have given us this science, this technology, this Kemetic science. And we contrast that now with the researches of the field of physics today, or of a glimpse of where we are in this journey of unfolding consciousness, this planetary journey of unfolding consciousness. And beloveds, just consider, and we're going to come to closure in a moment, because this is a lot to ponder, and more, and sometimes less is more. So, and more has been talked about today. So as we consider now, there is that worldwide capacity. And it's not to say that every one on Earth contributes to that World Wide Web. Not everyone is on the internet, but if you think about the billions that are, there is a real garnered treasure that is being mined, and this is something to really consider, because as a KeMetaphysician, I'm going to give everyone a charge today as we come to a close, because enough has been said already and more will be said in the services upcoming. As I said, beloveds, I've been at this a while, and I am eternal. Ijet Nehehe, we've been teaching that we are the ever coming ones, and at the same time, I am earthly chronologically considered an elder. So it's time to have these talks. And so I'm going to charge you, family, who took the time to come and spend this Sunday, to consider if you were an intelligence coming from another part of cosmos and could glimpse into this planetary consciousness, this collective, this human collective planetary consciousness, you would have a glimpse of how we were doing. Just like you'd have a glimpse of what was happening in the field of psychology or medicine or music. You would have a glimpse. And you might be, as this form coming from, this intelligence coming from another part of cosmos, you might be pretty astonished by what's that collective intellectual property. And if you think about the things on that internet that get all these views that are going into the eye, that the eye is beholding, and maybe holding the eye, I want to charge all of you that when you make a contribution at this point in the journey of unfolding consciousness, as we are at this tipping point in this dimensional shift, as we move from times more material to times more spiritual, from the one age, the Piscean age, into the age of Hapi Aquarius, as we make a shift in the change of the pole stars, as we make this incredible dimensional shift into what we know can be a better world, I charge you to do your part by, when you make a deposit in that internet, that it be the highest exalted thought and ideation, that you go into meditation, that you listen to the spirit within you to guide you, that spiritual impress in a thought form, and that you would put it in words, write it in words, express it in an image, that you make deposits in this planetary collective consciousness, this planetary mind, where you have done everything in your power to be within your own first eye, and that you are expressing the highest, most exalted thought. Our Earth needs it. Our planet needs it. It's what's going to raise our vibration. The things on internet that are getting millions of hits or views, beloveds, know that this internet is vast, wide, etheric, and there's many, let's say, on an earthly level, mansions in it, and we come into this space, this etherealized space, that we may cultivate it with the highest vibration, that we may cultivate it with our highest ideation, our most exalted thought and spiritual impress. We are raising the vibration of our earth. We likewise know, beloveds, there are those spaces within this World Wide Web that are cesspools. So our contribution is not to be taken lightly. We do our part to raise the vibration in the act of disseminating and being distributors of that light. Just looking at the comments here, beautiful, everyone. Lots of folks came today. So great to see each and every one of you. And on this note, we are going to pause, and we will be continuing this series, beloveds, and those who have studied in the academy, some for decades now, along with others. The KeMetaphysicists now speak to the physicists because it's time to talk. And we ask, can we talk? Can we talk about the first eye? Can we talk about many things? Boundary, and that's all it is. It's a seeming boundary between the realm of metaphysics and physics is very, very thin, and was only a seeming boundary to begin with. So on that note, let's see, let's put one comment up here. No, Nura Hotep, Nura says, she says, I'm going to put her comment here. Try to find it. She says, deeply appreciate the stimulation and enrichment, Mer Asha. Beautiful, beautiful. And Anonymous says, Hotep, thank you. Knowledge is power. Yes, and knowledge is wellness. Knowledge is power and knowledge is wellness. Okay, and Ankh Sakur, Anuk Sakur. Yes, yes. Hotep. So together in as one. And please do, beloveds, consider your membership within the Academy of Kemetic Education and Wellness, the Building Lighted Temple Wisdom Service. You find the link in the comment section of how to become a member. So I hope that folks will click that link and they will see the way to join our membership each week, which is 11. Here's the banner on the bottom here. And here is the link at Gumroad. Dr. Nteri Nelson at Gumroad, you can find the link. So we look to see each and every one of you, and we do appreciate your donations that support our work. You can make those, if you're not a member yet, to Dr. Nteri Nelson at gmail.com, at PayPal. Again, Dr. Nteri Nelson at gmail.com, at PayPal. Uncle Jasaneb, beloveds, look forward to seeing you each and every Sunday.